when I was in basic training, we did landnav during the winter, and it was very cold. So like a lot of people, we were told that basically it was gonna be a 5-day thing. You know what I mean? We were told beforehand, pack sniffle gear, pack all this cold weather gear stuff. It weighs a lot of weight. Like it's a lot of stuff that just takes up space, and I mean you don't really need it at all. I mean it's only gonna get down to 12 degrees. You know what I mean? As long as you're moving, you're gonna be fine. But so we were gonna do our land nav and then some of the tactical movement practice, basically. Just literally just teamwork, building stuff, rifle marks, like putting everything together that you learn in basic, except doing it with 4 guys instead of 2. Bounding is what it's called. So it was cold, right? And I go out for like the first iteration of land nav. It's awesome because it's like the first time that you're just, the leash is cut, you're set free. You're just out in the woods by yourself with, well, 3 other guys because they start off in teams. And then you just kind of go out, and there's the potential you could take a nap if you wanted to, but I don't think anybody did that because I think that most people were smart enough to realize they probably would have gotten caught. But honestly, in retrospect, like if I think back and I go, hey, if I was really just one of those guys who would just fall asleep or for some reason, I would have done it. I mean, you could have 1 guy pull fire and 3 guys sleeping, and you can do it in 15-minute intervals. So everybody can get 45 minutes of sleep if you finish fast enough. I mean, realistically, that's possible. No, but anyway, we went out there, and 4 of us went out. You know, the idea is that one guy, like the guys who are good at it, teach the guys who are bad. Yeah, I had no idea what I was doing. So we go for the night iteration. That was pretty fun. And I'm walking through the woods, and I find this big stick, and I'm like, if we see any boars, I'm gonna need this big stick that's shaped like a bazooka. I'm just gonna make this my weapon because they took away my metal weapon for some reason. They just took that away. I don't know where exactly they put my metal weapon, the M4, but yeah, the real weapon. we didn't use those on land nav. We didn't carry them with us. But I decided to carry this big stick I found like right at the start, like 30 minutes into our land nav. After like our first point, like we were already in the woods in the thick of it. We weren't even dead reckoning or like using any of the techniques. We were just wandering through the woods. The course is very easy. Let's just say that. You can find 1 point and you can be like, oh, this is not my point because the numbers on the top say that this is probably like in this direction in this relationship away from my point. So you can easily find your way around. And it's that course, this first course you're on is tiny. Like tiny. But after you go out from that land nav, then like after that set, you get up the next morning, you move to the next site, which is literally just down the road. And a lot of people were struggling for some reason. I don't understand how people struggle with just such a lightweight rock. I don't understand. I don't know. The rocks back then were pretty, well, they weren't the slightest, the ones that we did that, I can't talk about that, sorry. But let's just say that I've had lighter rocks, but you spend the entire rock just sprinting because you're in like the middle and there's 400 guys in front of you and behind you. Those guys behind you are probably just dying in the back and you're just running the entire way. And the reason you're running is because the guy in the front thinks he can walk a slow pace, but then he realizes, oh shit, I'm like a mile behind the guy in front of me. And then he just decides to just book it. Or sometimes it's the guy at the very, very front, the guy leading it, and he's like, Let's sprint to make it look good. Yeah, I think that's a good idea. And then you end up sprinting the whole way, and it's just like, dang, I just did 7 miles in 30 minutes? Like, what? What the heck? That's not even physically possible, let alone with a backpack on. But we went to the next landnav course, and on that course, it was a bit bigger. 2 guys for that iteration. We got as much practice as possible. They were like, yeah, we're gonna give you guys as much practice as possible. I like that. Like, we were able to just have more time out there. Like, we'd finish, we'd come back for lunch, and then like immediately after lunch, they'd be like, okay, brief, go out and find all your new points. Have fun. Come back, and then we'll send you out for the next iteration. And then we'd do our night iteration, go to bed. They had fire barrels, and they were like far away from where we slept. But the entire time, I'd been just sleeping under my tarp. And the reason I do that, even to this day, if I had to sleep out in the field, I'm just gonna use the least amount of gear possible. And even in like 20 degrees or 12 degrees at the coldest night, I was sleeping under the tarp. Like, I was shivering uncontrollably, but somehow I still managed to live through all of that. And it's just like, it's a very surprising thing that people don't realize that there's people who are very able to survive in extreme conditions. And then there's the opposite, where people are barely able to survive in extreme conditions. And I think I am on the extreme side of being able to survive in extreme conditions. Like, there's times where I've gone weeks without drinking water, and then I'm still fine for some reason, which makes 0 sense. But it's not like I'm trying to not drink water. I hydrate regularly now, I feel like. I just don't really, like, there's times where I should just, like, faint. Like, that's how it is. But, you know, I just somehow managed to keep pushing through it, and it's just crazy to me that it's possible to reach such an extreme of being able to resist heat and cold. But anyway, it got down to roughly 12 degrees on the coldest night, and on one of our iterations, I had fallen into like a river, basically, a creek, because the landnav course was wet. It had been raining, and thankfully it wasn't raining during our landnav, because otherwise that would have been awful. It would have gotten really cold. But on one of the iterations, I stepped into the water because I was like, it just goes straight through that river right there. And nothing's gonna go wrong at all. And then I step in, and it's just like all the way up to my knee. And I just look down, I go, holy crap. And I just jump out because it's that cold. The water was that cold. And I go, and I walk back, and my friends are just looking at me, and they're like, what the heck? Why did you jump in the river? Why did you stay in the river, man? Like, why? Because look, I'm not trying to waste my time going over all of these logs to get over the river. But now I've got a fear of stepping in the river, because now every time I go across the log, I think, oh, I'm gonna fall in the river. This is sketchy. I'm gonna fall straight into the river and just get soaked, and then it's gonna be game over for me, man. But eventually I just learned I just had to go over the river. It didn't matter. Like, my friends, they just go straight across this thing, and I'd be like, I'm not gonna go across that. That was how it was. At one point, I was walking, and there was just this old rusty piece of sea wire. It was real tiny, so like I stepped on it. I was like, I think I got my foot stuck in like a root or something, like tumbleweed. And I looked down, and it's like, oh, I'm dragging like this tiny ball of sea wire with me. I'm like, and then my friend was like, just runs over and takes that thing off. Sea wire is honestly the best thing ever. I've got stories about sea wire. One time, this is my favorite story about sea wire. It's completely unrelated to landnav, but I have too much I could tell you about landnav, and I just don't really want to do all of that. So I'll give you a sea wire story instead. one time it was our pretty much we were pretty close to the end. We were doing our FTX basically, and I'm running down a hill. Well, I was walking down a hill, and then catch somehow did not notice the C wire that my friend pointed out, or did not notice the fact that he pointed it out. And he's right in front of me, right? He pointed out. I guess he pointed out the C wire. He claims to point it out. I didn't notice him point it out. And I take a couple steps, and then eventually they're like, I don't know why I started running, but my foot caught it. And I was like, I'm gonna jump out of this, and I just run, and I just take a massive leap and go flying into the air, like at least 6 feet in there, because I just tripped on C wire, and it just pulled my leg out from under me and just sent me flying through there, down this hill. It's a steep hill too, into a road where the van is coming out from the point, I guess, I don't know, and then the barrel of my M4 goes to the dirt, and it's just like, holy crap, man, that was the greatest fail of all time, and did that right in front of the van, and you know who's driving the van? Probably a drill sergeant, and that's funny. It's so stupid, but I can always think back to that and go, this is why I always will pick up my feet from now on, because if I don't, then I will go flying again, and probably it won't be good. So another time with C-Wire was, we were at, I think it was we were still doing the FTX, and we're going out for a night iteration of an ambush, basically. If you don't know what that means, it basically means you're going to go and you're going to go set up all of your guys at these points, right? And you're going to do that without making as much noise as possible. So you're going to take a couple guys at a time. Usually just one guy and another guy. And it takes a long time, right? So we're going out and we're doing this, and we go one direction, and we just start walking into the C-wire, and guys were tripping and falling in the C-wire and getting caught in it because there was just random pieces of C-wire out there. And then next thing you know, the Rangers show up, and it's just the biggest distraction ever. People keep falling in the C-wire even more. And the reason that happened was they were doing some training at the same place as us. It's like, what? That's not what it was at the time. It was just like, why are these very important guys coming to go do training at a place where people who are just entry level guys are just now like figuring things out and putting everything all together? Like, what the heck is going on? But they did a training exercise there. It was a pretty crazy time. But another thing that happened on the ambush iteration was I got sent into my point. I forgot what role I was supposed to fill, but I was next to my battle buddy, and we were on these logs basically, and they were pretty much rotten. And so we were sent to our positions, and basically the barrel of his gun was, and mind you, we were firing blanks, but I think he either had the very big machine gun, or actually I can say the names of those. He probably had the 240 or the 249, and he had it positioned in a way to where the barrel was right next to my head, and yeah, that was a moment, because next thing you know, it's like time to start shooting, and there's just a barrel right next, like literally I wouldn't say 5 feet, I'd say 3 feet from my head, and guns are very loud because they use explosives, which basically releases a bit like a compressive shock of air. And if you have that close to you, that can do a lot of fun things, like for example, just like an AT4 can like give you concussions if you're not careful. So, but well, if you use it too much, that's the thing you don't understand, is that you can play Call of Duty all you want, but you're not gonna be shooting an RPG like 8 times in the real world. Like if you shoot an RPG, you're gonna shoot it like probably 2 times, and then that's probably if you get to shoot an RPG at like a tank or something. But if you shoot it more than 2 times, you might have like severe brain trauma, and then that's not good. That's, but anyway, so yeah, he's got the barrel of his gun like 3 feet away from my head. He starts shooting it. I'm just like, I can't hear a thing. This is whack. It's not the first time I hadn't been able to hear a thing. The first time I hadn't been able to hear a thing was that was the first time is when I just ripped off my helmet, threw on my pro mask, and the thing I didn't realize is that I had a string on my ear pro, so basically it caused my ear pro to be stuck in the helmet strap and pull off my head. And then I was shooting my M4 and I was just like, I can't hear a thing now. This is great. And the ringing just doesn't stop for a little bit, but that's how it is sometimes. But probably the loudest thing I shot was like a 50 cal. I think it was pretty loud. But yeah, after that iteration, basically, like, we really didn't do good on that iteration. That was the worst iteration that we had, like, as a total for, like, the entire platoon. It was the worst iteration. Because I think we messed, like, everything up on it. Like, we literally messed everything up. We were too slow. Like, we weren't setting in properly, and we were just being loud and noisy and stuff like that. Things you don't want with an ambush. Like, and we had just done ambush during the day, and we did, like, everything right during the day, and all the things we did right, we did wrong. But all the things we did right, or did wrong during the day, we did right. So it was like a flip-flop, basically. Kind of. Except we still did a lot of things we were doing wrong before wrong. So we just did it more wrong. Kind of. I think is how it was. I don't remember what we did wrong exactly. I probably have it written down somewhere because I have a lot of this just written in notebooks. Because I wrote a lot. Because that's all I had to do. Except for one time I made a board game. But if you make board games, it's going to end badly for you. Don't make board games.